Over these last few days, I have been able to change the pace of life a little and read two memorable books. I've turned the pages of another book, which oddly has remained in my shelves unread for more than 25 years. And I paused to read a fairy tale that most of us have known for generations. So first, a book written by a widely acclaimed author, a specialist neurologist, knowing he was living his last few weeks, the last few weeks of his life. And he wrote a book called Gratitude. The second book was also written by a doctor, a general practitioner in Edinburgh, an author of many prizes. And this book is written Adventures in Human Being. Adventures in being human, if you like. And in it he speaks about the human condition in sickness and in health. The third book, the one that had remained unread for a quarter of a century, was about bush schools across Australia, as they were in the first half of the 1900s, and of the schools, of the kids attending those schools during that period. And with each page, one could only wonder, what became of these kids? And then finally, the fairy tale. Jack and his mother faced dire poverty. So she dispatched Jack, you remember the story already, she dispatched with their cow to sell it at the market. And he did a stupid thing. He met a man along the road who gave him a bag of beans if only he would exchange the cow. And when he got home, he showed what he'd got for the cow. And his mother was so angry, you remember, she took the bag of beans and threw it through the window. Little did she know that she had magic in her hands, and she threw it away. And often we do the same. The power of magic, however, persisted. It came back, and soon it opened a new life for them both, mother and son. And we hope, as one year unfolds to the next, as one day unfolds on another, we hope that that too might be something for us, that we might get another chance. And as I studied the photographs, yes, indeed, the photographs of these, how many of these 13 little kids, all lined up outside school number 1791, I'd better get it right, a state school way in the bush somewhere. How many of these kids, I wondered, discovered a little magic in their life? How many of these kids ever stepped into a place like this and found it gave them a little magic? I'd like to think that as you come and take your place here now and again, Sunday by Sunday, you might say there's a little bit of magic here somewhere. It may not be in the words he speaks, but it may be in the ambience, in the people I meet. Last Friday night, I was given the difficult task of unravelling the meaning of Gwen Harwood's poem, The Glass Jar. One of the kids, my grandson, is doing an essay at this time of the year. Would you believe it? And here is this poem. It was very difficult for me, but I was helped by his interpretation. A small boy thought he had captured the magic of light, sunlight, within a glass. So he took the glass and wrapped a scarf around it and took it to bed, hoping that thereby that light would somehow magically protect him from the monsters that he often dreamt about. But of course, the magic had gone. It had lost its power, a power that would only be recovered by the rising of the sun on the new day. The whole human race, all of us human beings on this planet, are blocked in this tantalizing puzzle. How will we keep ourselves secure and safe? What will we find? What will we use? What will we do to keep ourselves safe and secure through the anxieties of childhood, right through to a contented old age? I've spoken before of Professor George Valent's book. He's a professor of psychiatry and mental health at Harvard, or now retired. And he's been part of a longitudinal study stretching for more than 75 years, asking the question, again and again, what are the predictables for living a healthy, long life? Why did one brother die at 42 and the other brother live on till 92? What are the predictables for a long life? What are the predictables for an enjoyable family life? What are the predictors of reliable relationships? And so on. He asked the question, what are the predictors of successful aging wherever you are on the lifespan? What are the predictors of a strong sense of who you are, a sense of self? So at this time of the year, some of us no doubt have taken out photographs, turned over and back and forth and laughed and talked, looking again and saying, this is the way we were. We've grown from the caterpillar to butterflies, and we wonder what will be beyond. What will be the predictors of the next phase of life? What will be the sources of inspiration for us, of strength for us? What will we build into our present to take us through the damaging experiences of aging, growing older, finding a strong self, soothing the self when it needs to be soothed, enhancing the self as it needs to be enhanced again and again? Have we studied it? Or do we just let it happen? And all that is part of we can say this is part of the comprehensive accomplishments of living life, not only for oneself, but with a little bit of awareness of the vulnerabilities of others. How will we live? What will be the predictors? Now, we all have a tendency to close ourselves off in self-protection for a better survival. So we think, without pausing to think, but a better survival may really depend on opening ourselves to different experiences, to different strengths, to different ways of soothing. Understandably, we proclaim the power of our past. Because that happened, and we believe that could be a good predictor for what might happen in the future. But it's not always so. Even after strong things of the past, we know only too well of the many instances in our own life and others where the future falls apart. Things we didn't accept, things we couldn't have predicted. How do we predict that we might move from where we are? What will be the good predictor of living into a magnanimous old age? Of course, we might genuinely wish people a happy marriage, a successful life, but not know what will predict their emotional maturity when they're faced with strong problems of their life? What are the predicting factors for happiness? Will high intelligence do it? It depends on what kind of intelligence. Will wealth be the factor? Not always a factor. If you spend time going to church, will that be a factor on what you do on Sunday mornings? In fact, today I'm going to spend a little time at the end of this address talking about that very thing. Why we gather here on Sunday morning. Is it a predictor of what might happen tomorrow, in the future? Will it strengthen ourselves? Will it soothe our past and carry us into the future? So what are the predictors of a good and long life? Professor Valent, George Valent, having spent decades on what is known as the Grant study of older men, decided to put himself through one test. So he said, this is what he wrote. If visitors would punch in their bad habits, a computer had promised, it would then tell how much longer you would have to live. So I told the computer, this is George Valent speaking, I told the computer that I consumed 1/2 pound of butter daily. I was a light smoker of Camel cigarettes. I only rarely let a green vegetable touch my lips. I emptied 1/5 of a bottle of Jack Daniels every evening. I could have recommended a better drink. And I got off the sofa only to change the batteries of the remote. So the computer thought for a while, calculated the years that each risk factor was supposedly subtracting from my life, and then it informed me that I was dead already and had been dead since 2 years before I was born. So you see, all the predictions, even from the computer that we worship, can get it wrong. We certainly know it was wrong. We can name good early family life. We can name good school experiences. We can name good friendships in number and quality. You can name your career path and all its successes. And then someone will wish you a long life and add good luck, as if luck will be the ultimate predictor. And you know, when it's all said and done, with all our knowledge, with all of our predictions, from the Weather Bureau through to the economists, we're all in the same boat. We're not very good at predicting what the future will bring. Some will say the first half of my life was a great adventure. The second half was full of anxieties and errors that never could have been predicted. So we can lament the errors and keep churning over the anxieties. But the task before us is to discover our better and our best self-strengths by which to live each day. Self-strengths, I think, can be listed in any order you like, but they will include, number one, the magic of a bag of beans. That is to say, something in your life that will help you to step over past mistakes and in a way magically transform your life into something you didn't quite expect. Little things can transform you into something that you had not anticipated. Something good, something magical, something magnificent. Number one, then, try to find your magical bag of beans. Number two, see that the ugliness of life need not last, but even the ugliness of life can be a challenge for you, for each one of you, all of us to join together to give some shape to a new goodness in life. We can all be part of the reshaping of life. And thirdly, you can lift yourself up. You can be lifted up from where you are to see life from a different perspective, from a different perch, as it were. Being inspired by the bigger things, higher things, different things. Now, of course, I know that those three things can be just empty rhetoric. But on this significant day, I would like to expand on what I've attempted to put before you here in this church every Sunday that you come here. So I'm going to pause and do something quite different for a Sunday morning address. I'm going to talk about what we do here. In Oliver Sacks' book, the first book I mentioned, he called it Gratitude at the end of his life. He spent some pages right at the end speaking or writing on the importance of the Sabbath for Jewish people. We of the Christian churches are not so deliberately, not so carefully committed to the importance of one day in the week. So what do we do as we gather here that will contribute to our stronger sense of self? Oliver Sacks says what he and his family and what generations of Jewish people have done in order to find their strength for meeting the terrors and tragedies of life by what happens on the Sabbath. So what can we say about what we do on the Sunday morning? We here create a time and a space to reflect on the various ingredients of our past and the possibilities of our future. It is a time to reduce for a few moments, reduce life's stresses, and refine some balance, some softening, some different, deeper meaning. It is a time of remembering, and it is a time of gratitude. It is a time of music and poetry, talking and quietness. It is a time to regather a sense of caring for others, for our place in the world, and for the world itself. It is a time to renew our ideals, to renew good beliefs about ourselves, about others, about life, to renew our hope. It is a time to be aware of our own acceptance. The Bible today said again in two different places, to remember that you are fully accepted and fully blessed. A time to know that acceptance. A time when you experience the emptiness of life and when you can experience a moment when it seems that your cup overflows. It is a time that in making one day special, every day can take on a different special value. It is a time to sing and celebrate. And in the words of Oliver Sacks, a time to come together, recognizing his words, recognizing the enormous privilege and adventure of being alive together on this beautiful planet. So a sense of self, focused, a sense of self, finding some fulfillment, a sense of self, being connected with faith and the flow of life. We know that we will have our times when we fall under the wheels of life. But we need to get up again and face what is there to be faced, a life to be finished. So if you go through those doors to Mingary, they're there for a special purpose, for every day of the week, but especially for Sundays. There is the rock. The rock is a symbol that speaks of strength, durability, resilience. There is the wing of the dove lifting, elevation of the human spirit. There's the light on the east wall, a symbol of light, the sun rising on a new day. And there's the water flowing over the rock, reminding us that we too can be part of the flow of faith and life. And then there's the bowl at the foot, at the base of the rock. The bowl, the catchment bowl, the bowl of resolution. And then there is the garden. Then there is the garden with all its softness and a little bit of colour, a little bit of magic. All part of the symbols of what Sunday morning can be here in this place. What it has been in this place for so many years. What it has been for so many of you. And how you can carry it into your future as I carry it into mine. And so today we're going to take the bread and the wine, symbols of the past, of remembering, the richness of remembering, the tragedy of remembering, the pain of remembering. And turning it around and hear those symbols speak to us of the wine of life, the future, the possibilities, bread and wine of the gathered people, becoming symbols of faith by which we will live. Faith that soothes us, faith that enhances us. Would you please stand?